All right, what's happening, everyone? It is beginning of the week. It's Monday, and we got the Monday market report coming in at the week ending of April 27, 2025. So we take a look. We pick one auction site. In this particular case, we've been using GreatCollections.com as kind of a barometer check of how the health of the graded coin market has been going. So we're looking at the past 7 days of activity on Great Collections. Usually their auctions end every Saturday of the week, or every Sunday rather. So that's why you have the week ending April 27 and not the 28th, which is today when this video is dropping. We're simply checking out some of the coins that have sold here as of yesterday on Great Collections. We have a pretty big list, a lot of bangers, so to speak, that have made some waves here in the last couple days. So we're going to talk about these here momentarily. Again, just to kind of recap, we cover in these particular videos post 1900 era of coins. So from the year 1900 all the way up to the current date is what we normally consider to be more or less the modern era of U.S. numismatics. So that's how we kind of base things, by looking at that particular date range of coins. Again, all the coins are graded. PCGS, NGC, CACG, a few others that are typically highlighted. And usually when you sell or when you consign to these bigger auction houses like a Heritage, Great Collections, things like that, somehow, some way the coins will be graded before they're sold. So go ahead and check out Great Collections. They are some of the fastest rising auction houses out there for your coin and currency needs. So yeah, we're going to jump into this here momentarily to take a look at things. Month of April almost coming to a close. Wanted to let you guys know that when one door closes, another one opens. I saw on the platform Whatnot. Many thanks to the channel sponsor Whatnot for allowing me to sell on their platform, and we do it at the very least once a week, and we're actually going to ratchet that up to about 3 times a week. The big reason why is that we are going to double down on what we did last summer by promoting the giveaway of another Garrett AT Pro metal detector, along with a bunch of other awesome items that we will also give away for this event. So what a great way to kick off the summer. More information to come, but I personally invite you guys to check out this platform where I sell on. They are the fastest growing live social media auction site today. There's the QR code on screen. Go ahead and scan that. Get yourself $15 courtesy of your boy Blue on your first item. If you did not want to use the QR code, have no fear. We got the links down below in the description box and also pinned to the comment section of this video. It is a lot of fun. I hope to see you guys on the next Blue Ridge Silverhound sponsored show coming up here and at the end of the week. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and dive right in to the selections. You're gonna see a few of the returning staples in the market. The one that we have on screen right here, you could pretty much say these are a regular seller, and with each and every single week we see these particular coins tick up. They are an important aspect to ultra modern collectability. The 1972 doubled die obverse Lincoln Memorial cent is high atop one of those variety kind of lists that not only a lot of hunters look for, but also a lot of people that are pursuing individual coins at certain grade levels. They're also looking for them on the secondary market. So this one right here grades out PCGS Mid-State 66 red. It's an old green holder. You'll note that the coin appears to have a lot of scratches. That's simply not the case. All those scratches are out on the slab plastic. So yeah, this one, again, much older slab. Probably about 35 years old is when this was last graded. But I mean, who could argue with one of the most powerful doubled dies in US type, and this particular one is no exception. You can see the doubling on the date. on liberty, on the motto, "In God We Trust," you'll know exactly what you're going to be finding here with this one. And yet again, a coin that continues to perform admirably on the secondary market. 66 red is hardly the highest grade for the coin, but it kind of is that in that middle ground of collectability and investment. This particular one sold yesterday for $1,694.25. Quite a very respectable amount of cash, and because of what it is, it's it's going to continue to sell at very strong numbers. The next one that we have here is certainly going to split a lot of groups, and it's a very, very divisive coin. A lot of content creators, both on YouTube and on various other social media platforms, have long talked about the 1964 run of SMS coins. A lot of people claim they have found these coins, whether it's the Lincoln cent you see here, the nickel, the dime, the quarter, blah, blah, blah. I hear it all the time. A lot of social media and YouTube content creators have claimed that this is a coin that you could find just about everywhere. Unfortunately, that's simply not the case, because each and every single piece that originated from the Lester Merkin collection, who was a well-known dealer back in the 60s, ended up auctioning these off years later as a group. And, ever since then, ever since the acquisition by Lester Merkin, who knew a number of people at the Mint, ended up, selling these, and all the auction houses and things like that, they have documented where the coins have been going. And, finding these casually, just like in change or, at a coin shop, it's damn near next to impossible. The only circumstance where something like that could happen is if someone had bought one of the original Lester Merkin coins, which, by the way, there was a lot of them that he had. I think he had in total about 20 sets that he had sold all together. Back when it made sense. He ended up making a real fortune off of them. But someone just buys this, that particular person maybe passed away, and then whoever inherited it didn't quite know what was the coin and what the backstory, what it's all about, and then they end up spending it. They end up doing something with it. And, the likelihood that that can happen is very, very minuscule. We're talking like a fraction of a percent that the likelihood that something like that would happen will happen. So, I'm going to tell you this, right from the chute that, again, these are very rare. They were kind of like a trial strike because, as you guys know, 1964, they were going to transition their I guess, collectible kind of coin. They've been doing proof-struck coins for a number of years, and then decided, we're going to step away from doing proofs. Well, this really made a lot of collectors unhappy. So they had to double back and produce a different type of collectible special strike coin and enter in the special mint set SMS coin. In 1964, they had done a few trials to see how it would work, because officially 1965 would have been the first year for the SMS coinage program, and it would continue on for 3 years, and then they went back to the traditional proof strike quality coins. So this one right here, you can see, is designated by PCGS as an SP68 red. SP simply standing for special strike. And this one right here ended up hammering this past weekend to the quite studious amount of cash of $40,500, and it just continues to blow me away, that the prices just kind of like they've been trickling upward for years. I remember when these were selling for $25,000 to $30,000 just recently, within the last 10 years, and then now here we are with a first-time $40,000 price tag is just simply incredible. So what's the differentiator? In case you guys are wondering, the strike. The strike is going to be incredibly hammered. 1964 Lincolns traditionally are on the weaker side. of the strike spectrum. This one right here, just a lot of the devices are very, very crisp. From what I could see, the reverse and also the steps on the Lincoln Memorial are very, very well struck too. So $40,000. It's a lot of money, to be sure, for just 1964 Lincoln cent that has a little bit more of a backstory that helps support its value. The next one that we have here, we do have a couple registry set style coins on the list. This one, 1960D, is the small date variant of the Lincoln Memorial cent. This one, PCGS had graded as a mid-state 67 plus. Full red. Again, just want to let you know there were some scratches on the slab which have translated onto these images. Just so you know that the coin is not all beat up, as you would think. This one right here is sold for $1,519.88. Again, which is kind of like par for the course for like the secondary tier graded coins. I believe 68 might be the high grade for a 60D small date. So we've covered 1955 double to die coins quite a bit, as a matter of fact, but we've always talked about some really nice high-end specimens. Someone had mentioned, well, those are all great and all. They all have the ridiculous price tags as you would expect. But how about one that maybe does not look as well, might be environmentally damaged or damaged, period, and that's great, because these things don't really circulate that much. We don't see typically your good to VG examples of a 55 DDO. They're few and far between, and I would say they're probably quite rare. However, we came across this one that ended up selling this weekend as an AU Details coin, and you note right there on the label, environmental damage, which could be the corrosion areas on the front of the coin in front of Lincoln's chin area right above the date, is what they would consider to be the environmental damage. So don't know if the coin was in the ground or maybe if it was in some sort of area where there was a bunch of crap on top of it. I could see a scenario where this thing would be sitting in a coffee can in a garage with a bunch of tools sitting on it, or some fluids, liquids, things like that. Again, copper is highly reactive to a lot of moistures and things like that, to the point where they'll turn brown pretty quickly. They'll corrode pretty easily. This is one of those prime examples of something that can happen to these. Price-wise, still a very valuable coin at $1,580.62. Unless they're, way more too far gone than what this one is. $1,500 seems to be more or less the floor for these, in pretty rough shape. And, again, it's just due to the popularity. I wish I could say these things could get cheaper. You might find one for cheaper, but at the same time, this one right here is already certified, which makes it a very easy buy if you're looking to invest in one of the most highly liquid and most popular Lincoln cents today. All right, so getting back into another fine-looking registry set coin, we have a 1946 Lincoln wheat cent. We were dipping into the wheat cent backs as of now, I guess. This one right here comes in at a very beautiful mid-state 67 plus, or 67 red. There's no plus in there. The plus, however, is the CAC sticker, which just means that they agreed to the grade. And because of that, that's a big deal for a lot of registry set participants of Lincoln cents. This one sold for $4,500. That was a pretty good price tag on that one there. And who doesn't like a good key date? Okay, again, this is very similar to the 1972 DDO Lincoln, in that in this particular grade, this is just a really fine investment coin, or just an above average type coin. This one here is a mid-state 66 red-brown this time around, so it does have a little oxidation. It's beginning to turn brown there. CAC stamped for certification as well. And this one sold for $1,406.25. If you need one that's a little bit better than the rest, a lot of them are in AU condition, as these were saved at the time because everybody knew that the mintages were quite low. This is a great, kind of secondary compromise on something like this. I would certainly own a 31S at this grade than I probably would maybe a 14D XF. It'd be XF 40, for around the same amount of money. So we have a couple extraordinarily tough dates. 1925D is one of them, notorious for just a really crappy strike during this time. We have this example here that is in an original old NGC graded holder. This one came in as a Mid-State 65 red. It's also got a CAC certified sticker, so that means a lot to collectors. This one sold for $4,051.12. And then finally, we have to talk about one of my favorite dates, bar none, the 24D. We've long associated key and quote-unquote the word key date for a lot of coins, best reserved for the 14D, 09S VDB, things of that nature. The 24D is kind of socked in there, somewhere in the semi-key and just really low mintage coins. This one right here is beautiful, a nice older NGC graded Mid-State 66 red. They gave this one a full red designation, which helped its cause tremendously. Now, the coin probably turned a little bit over the years. This one was probably graded in the early 2000s, if I had to guess. But anyways, a true stunner. Glad to see him still exist in this kind of grade state. $20,251.12. That's like a brand new car there because it is. Now we're on the nickels, and we have the 1965 special mid-set nickel here. This is the SMS coins that were going to be produced at its first year. Now, what you guys need to know is that the coins don't traditionally look like a standard proof, which means no cameo contrast, none of the frosting. You don't have these deep black fields that are highly mirrored. This is far from the case for any SMS coin. So this one is quite a rarity and a white whale for a lot of special strike collectors. So this one NGC gave a Mid-State 67 grade with Ultra Cameo in there, and it sold for $1,379.25. A real beauty here. This one was kind of more of one of the jaw-dropping coins of the week, because I think what the coin is compared to what its sale price was a real shock to the system. This is a 35D. Again, we don't traditionally think that this is a hot rarity, at the highest grade level, but it kind of is. Anything under 1936, they get a little bit tricky. This one right here, PCGS graded in a 67 plus holder. CAC gave its thumbs up right there with a green bean. And how about this for a sale price? $37,462.50, which poses this question to you, ladies and gentlemen. For nearly the same amount of money, would you buy the 1964 SMS Lincoln Cent, or would you buy this for just a few grand less? But the price tag is very, very similar, very close to each other. Now, here's just a really fine, acceptable market kind of example of the 1918/7 Denver Buffalo Nickel. And the reason why I say that is that this is the type of grade you want, XF40, where you see clear, defined featurettes in the overdate. This one right here, you could, it has the flat-topped 8, which is the top of the 7. You're able to see the bottom crossbar of the 7 going through the 8. Very, very well defined. And this is the coin right here in this grade where it makes a sharp and sudden kind of rocket propelled, thing happening with the price charts. That line chart that we all look at as investors, when we look at that and we see the 1918/7 Denver Buffalo overdate and it hits XF40, man, that thing takes off. So this one right here, $6,486.75. There was also one that was a lesser grade. I'd have to say that it was like either VG or Fine. That sold for like a quarter of what this one did. So you can see where the prices just really begin to propel upwards. It's all in the attribution and how clearly defined that you could see that on there. And this one certainly takes the cake. Next one that we have here, of course, a favorite, a staple. It's not the Type 2, but a Type 1 1913S, a San Francisco dated Buffalo nickel in an NGC Mid-State 66 is just drop dead gorgeous. It's the one singular date where, the texturing and the detail is just on a whole other level compared to any other coin of its generation. So this one right here sold for $1,040.62. Seems like a relative bargain, but there are coins that grade as high, I believe, is like 68 plus of a 13S Type 1. And they're all very well struck. And if you get a high-end, lustrous, clean planchet example, they could shoot up there and the prices will kind of climb in tandem. So we're on the dimes. Yeah, we actually have a few dimes. This one right here, 1950D, which is a Roosevelt dime. This one right here is a repunch mint mark variety. It's the FS 502 attribution in the Cherry Picker's Guide. According to Great Collections, this is a very rare variety to achieve with full bands on the grade. This one comes in as a Mid-State 66 full bander, which 66 without the variety and without full bands is just a rather pedestrian grade for Roosevelt dimes. However, this one has a whole lot of extra stuff added to it that makes it, a much more important coin than we realize. So this one right here sold for $1,344.38. We also have this beauty here. One of my favorite toning is a very light gold peripheral toned example like this. 44D. Not the most extraordinary date at all, but it is toned, a Mid-State 68 full bands, which is a very high grade. CAC certified as well. A real beauty. $1,462.51 for the finale on that. We also have probably one of the most underrated in a sense that, or undersearched. Let's go ahead and do that. People know about the 42/1, which you can find on the Philadelphia and Denver Mint Mercury dimes. The Denver variant is not as impressive, but it is a little bit more scarce, I guess you could say. So this one right here, it's got some nice original color to it, some crustiness that I always bring up. Mid-State 63 full bands, okay, which is a very awesome secondary market type of piece. This one ended up selling for $7,481.25. We also have a 1919S. However, this one does not have full bands. But I'm thinking that the submitter was kind of maybe 50-50 on this one. While we do have a semblance of a split on that middle set of bands on the fascies, it wasn't quite as complete left to right as you would agree. So PCGS did not designate this with full split bands, but it is a Mid-State 65, and for this date, a 1919S, that is good enough for something, and it made it good enough to be on the list at the tune of $1,828.12. So still a really, really erstwhile sale. Of course, we got the key dates of key dates. 1916D, where right around good 6, it's about $1,000 coins. It's still not cheap at all. But we do have a fine 12, which is generally highlighted by full rims. Once you get too far south of fine grades, you begin to lose the rims a little bit. This one, there's a lot of concessions out there about the acceptability of a fine versus a VG coin. And it's all in the rims. People love full struck rims on the coins. So this one sold for $3,406.49. Again, it's a grade where things really pick up steam and they become very expensive. All right, we have a few quarters to talk about and one little wild card at the very end. I think you guys will like. 1944S, doubled die obverse FS101 Washington quarter in a 67 plus holder by PCGS. It's also CAC certified. The FS101 DDO 44S is not impressive. I've found a few of these in a very, very, very gemmy condition. And it's one of those where you can blink and totally miss it. It's that unspectacular. But, for a completionist, they're going to want this coin. So it did pop up. It sold for $1,582.88. We also have one of the perennial keys of the quarter series, the Washington quarter series, rather. 32D, how about this one? NGC assigned a Mid-State 65 grade 2 with an unbelievably thick toned skin all throughout the coin. That is neither offensive or, kind of like in your face. It's a coin that exudes a lot of originality. It's never been doctored or tampered with, never been dipped. So those are all very important qualities. This one sold for $5,625. And a few Standing Liberty quarters is one of my favorites. It's 27S. My goodness. In a 66 grade. This is actually a very, very tough date. While not quite 23S, kind of level, this one kind of sits on its own as a semi-key. And beautiful coin. This one ended up selling for $18,687.38. Jeez. It doesn't even have full head, which is another strike designator on these. 1920S, a very beautiful, very original coin. And this one, like the previous, does not have that full head designator. It's not a full complete strike. You can see actually a little bit of a weakness right smack dab in the middle of the coin from the drapery to where the rivets are on the shield. You can see some weakness there. Just really further highlighting, some of those strike quality concerns that was very rampant during the 20s. So this particular one sold for $4,577.62. Loving the original look to this one as well. And our final wild card coin of the week, 1972S, 40% silver uncirculated Eisenhower dollar showing up. Again, these things have to grade really high for them to be, kind of like worthwhile on the secondary market because they're all very well struck. Kind of like what the big difference maker is going to be is finding one where, it doesn't have a bunch of ticks and little marks all throughout the coin, which even though these are more of a special strike and they're kind of held with kids' gloves, they're still going to get their fair share of contact marks, planchet nicks, things of that nature. This one is a 68 plus, and that's kind of like the floor of where you need to be on these. $1,018.12 to round out the Monday market report for the week ending April 27. So that's going to go ahead and wrap things up. Of course, as you guys know, it was Central States Numismatic Show Week. So, they had a big show, great collections, had a pretty big auction week itself. It was just a very, very, very good week in the coin collecting hobby. I knew of a few people that went to Central States and they have said that it was explosive, that, attendance was a lot higher and a lot more robust than it ever has been, which is really good for the coin market. So I wanted to, preface that by saying, again, the information in this video is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Please collect and or grade your coins responsibly as always. That's going to go ahead and do it for this one. I am your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for another outstanding week of coin porn, I guess you could say. That's kind of like the verbiage that's been going around, especially in the kind of like younger demographic of the hobby. It's been awesome. It's been a great week. It's been, again, a pleasure serving you guys this report as we do every week. So you guys enjoy the hobby. Have a great rest of your Monday. I will see you on the next coin video, and I'll see you then. Take care.